We're with Jason Edwards, the assistant track coach at Eastern Connecticut State University. Jay, you guys have had one meet so far. It was back in December. How are things going so far this year?
Things are going pretty well. Our first meet, all the kids, settled into what event they're going to do and what they feel comfortable doing. And, it's kind of work out all the kinks and whatnot, but everybody's doing great. The men and women, they're a positive attitude, and everybody's doing really well for our first meet.
Talk about the makeup of your workouts. In other words, does each assistant coach sort of handle a different group at a different time, or do you guys all ever come together? Are your workouts with everybody involved?
Well, most of the time at our practices, we split up into groups, and everybody goes to a certain category, what they're doing in the events. It might be a field event or a running event. So we're all split up in our groups.
But you all try and get the kids together at one time?
Yes.
So right now, obviously you're indoors, your indoor season is going on, and then after that you move to the outdoors when the weather gets a little bit better?
Mm-hmm.
Talk about what you would do, what kinds of things you've been doing with the team.
A lot of things I've been doing with the team is I do control all the sprints and the jumps, and we do our workouts and long jump, sprinting, and make sure the kids are we work on calisthenics, stuff like that, and we try to get the kids in shape and where they need to be. So we do some block starts, we do some running events inside, and they work a lot of technique workouts.
Now, I was in here one day and you guys were working out. It looked very good. It looked like a goal of this year's team, or a focus of this year's team from the coaches, is to really unify this team. Saw them all in here together, all had on their, the same warm-up stuff. They look like a team. Is that something that you guys are really stressing this year?
Yes, this year, in the beginning we was talking about renovating and rebuilding, and right now we're rebuilding everything, and we want everybody to be on the same page and everybody have the same top and bottoms on, so we look like a team. So I think that also it keeps that morale up with the team. Everybody looks the same on the team, and that makes it much better, positive attitude.
Well, this is your second year,
yep.
And Catherine Menez is the head coach. When you came in, did she pretty much give you freedom to sort of set things up the way you wanted to do it, or was there a structure to how you were supposed to coach this team?
Well, basically, when I first came for my first year, we sat down and went over some few things that we wanted to change and stuff like that. Yeah. So we kind of worked together, Kathy and I.
Okay.
And came up with a plan.
Let's talk a little bit about the other assistant coaches. You got a good staff, and I don't think there's a lot of people on the staff, these coaches, that a lot of people aren't familiar with. As we said, Catherine Menez is in her second year. She brought you in. This is your second year. A couple of the other assistant coaches, talk about them and what they bring to the coaching staff, what their responsibilities are. We have Tim Callahan, who used to be involved in the program.
Tim Callahan is one of our former athletes, and now he's helping us out as an assistant. He handles a lot of the administrative stuff and makes sure to get documents out to the kids, and people when we have recruits and stuff like that. And also he works with the distance kids. But he's an all-around guy where he helps out wherever we need him and stuff like that.
And he was an assistant with the cross-country team. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you have a newcomer to the staff. Well, two newcomers, but one of them is Bill Wilkie, he brings a lot of high school coaching experience to the staff. What's he done for the program?
Bill Wilkie, he's a great person, and he brings a lot to the team. His technique, the way he explains things, is very structured, and he's a very outgoing person. He explains it so you can understand it. So I think that's one big part about coaching and stuff like that. Telling the kids what to do, but also explaining how to do it and how to do it right and how to do it efficient. So he's great to work with.
Well, that's a sign of a good coach.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of coaches know stuff, but can you get the information to the kids?
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And you said he's very versatile in terms of he has a little bit of knowledge, or a lot of knowledge in a lot of areas?
Yes, he has a lot of knowledge in all the areas, but when we break up into groups, he works with throwers and our pole vaulters, but he's just an all-around kind of person where if we need him for a certain type of an event, he's there and he has knowledge for each thing that we do.
And I see him a lot of times in the athletic offices. He handles some administrative work as well?
Yes. Tim Callahan and Bill Wilkie works together as well. And they're a great team, to make sure, if one person needs one thing, they work well together.
Everybody seems like they work well together on the staff. You got another individual, Terrence Abney. He helped out with cross country. He is a volunteer assistant in his first year. Tell us a little bit about Terrence.
Terrence, he works for us, and it's great to have a volunteer that takes time out of their life to come and help us out. And he's a hurdler. He's a 400 hurdler. Set a lot of school records. He was an All-American, but he's great.
Yeah, you had an unbelievable career here. I mean, you went into the Houston Hall of Fame this past year, a 4-time All-American in the long jump and sprints. Is it difficult for someone who is that talented? Like, sometimes you work with kids and say, like, why can't you do this? Because it came somewhat easy to you. Is it tough to get the message across sometimes, working with people with lesser abilities than you?
I think it's pretty even. Basically, I tell the kids, I said, don't respect me because I'm an All-American Hall of Famer. It's more of like respect me because I'm an individual and I like to respect them. But more so, I like to try to pass on my experiences and the things that I've learned from when I was competed in college and pass it on to my kids. And, it's almost they get into a routine. If they're doing something that works for them, continue to do it. I'm just here to try to critique those things and try to make it, better.
So you're going to sort of tweak the way they do things, but you didn't necessarily come in and say, we're doing it this way, right? Not really.
No, not at all. The biggest thing is I came in, I want everybody to feel comfortable. I want people to have fun and feel comfortable and have a positive attitude. So when I first came in, it was just more introducing myself. I was a little nervous because this is my first year, but now I'm into my second year. And the biggest thing was just communicating with the kids so that we're on the same page and that we're doing great.
Well, from the first day you started as a coach to now, do you see an improvement in the team, especially in terms of like mental improvement, and not necessarily technique, but in terms of being together? Do you see an improvement on the part of the kids in the last year or two?
Yes, when I first came in the first year to where we're at now, in the beginning, there sometimes kids, when there's changes that are made, it takes time for people to get comfortable. Yeah. But over time, you can tell that their concentration, they're more focused on not only the coaching, but they're focused more in tune with the sport, track and field, and they're doing great. I mean, it's very positive. And you can tell if they get frustrated with something, they can communicate with us, and we're going to be positive and tell them we're going to try to work things out with them. So I think that makes them feel comfortable about whatever they're doing right or whatever they're doing wrong.
You feel like you've got their trust in the last 2 years where they can come and talk to you about an issue?
Yes, we have that relationship, which is great.
Yeah.
Because it's important to, when our kids, if they have a situation going on, it could be a class, it can be anything that's going on, it might affect their performance. So sometimes we like to know what's going on to try to figure out, if they're having a bad day, is there anything we can do? So we're all, we care about what our kids and what's going on in their mind and what's going on with their life as well. Because, sometimes other things can affect us and we can be easily distracted in other ways, but it might affect us when we're at practice. So, but I see them as, when they're at practice, it's more like a relief. They whatever's going on in their life, or maybe it's just a stress reliever, and that's it's a hobby, it's a sport, track is a sport, and it's something that they love to do. So it's fun for them to come to practice. Then of course they have to hit the books back after practice.
So basically, what you're trying to tell them is, no matter what else is going on in your life, for the 2 hours that you're here, just sort of try and concentrate on what you're doing here.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
How do you teach indoors? You can't really. Indoors in a gymnasium, you can't really teach things like the long jump. I mean, the actual long jump. But how do you train for the long jump when you don't have a pit?
Well, we try to make the best of whatever resources that we have. And this is where all the coaches come together. Myself, Coach Menezes, Coach Wilking, and Callahan and Terrence. This is when we all put our heads together and say, okay, listen, we need to come up and make a long jump scenario. We have our mats that we brought up from the sports complex, so we try to make everything work. That's when we all the coaches work together and we come up with a game plan to make it happen.
Seems like a lot of fun. The coaching staff seems like it really gets together well. You've known Kathy for a long time. You actually competed for her. She's done a lot for this program, hasn't she?
Yes. I mean, Kathy, when I was here at school, I mean, she's a great individual. It's great to not only be her former athlete before, but now to actually get to work right alongside her, where it's a good experience as well.
Is it a different perspective? When you were an athlete, you looked at things as an athlete would look at it. Now you're looking at things as a coach looks at it, which are two totally different ways to look at things, right?
Right. As being an athlete during that time, it's more, whatever the coach says to do, that's what we did. And but now to be on the other side, where we're actually, giving knowledge and saying, listen, this is how we're going to do things. It is a different perspective.
Well, it's probably a conflict for you, right? Because you're coaching the long jumpers, so you might just coach someone into breaking one of your records, right?
I think that's why records are made, to be broken.
Although it's been although your record is held for a long time.
But hey, that's great if they can break it. That's one thing about having records. I want people to be able to, so they can be broken. We're working with a few athletes now. They're doing really well and stuff like that.
I don't want to particularly point out any male or female because everyone works hard and does a good job. But since Fred Hewitt showed up, I mean, he's got some talent, huh?
Mm-hmm. Fred Hewitt is just one of those athletes where, if you ask him to do something, he'll do whatever. He's got a great attitude. He's one of the captains, and he just brings that kind of energy to the team. He gets everybody together, and if somebody's down, they're having a bad day. Fred's more of a person that will try to pick everybody up and keep the morale up, which is great, amongst other captains on the team as well.
He has some kind of talent, huh?
Yes.
In terms of speed, pure speed.
I don't know when I was here, I don't know if I can run against Fred, but Fred's he's a fast kid, and he's got a great technique, and he works hard.
How about on the women's side? You've been working with the long jumpers for a while, with the women and the men, actually. But have you seen improvement in the long jumpers?
Yeah. There's a few people. Lauren Holtzman, Eric Andrade, one of our freshmen. Yeah. They're just doing great compared to what they were before. Their form and their technique is improved dramatically. I think that's the biggest thing, It's as being a coach, you want to share your experiences, but you also have to work off the athlete of what they're used to doing and build off of that as well.
Well, what do you think made you so successful in terms of the long jump? Was it out and out speed? Was that a major factor in your accomplishments?
I think as being a long jumper, there's two things. You have a lot of speed, or you have good height. But if you can put your speed together with your height, you can be a great long jumper. I think I had great speed on the boards, which made me do well. And of course, my coach Nez she always pushed me to my limits, and I believed in her. And having a great coach like her push me and have a positive attitude, I believed in her. So that's another big part of it as well, as being a coach.
Well, your record for the outdoor long jump was about almost 25 feet. If you went out today in long jump, what do you think you'd get?
Oh boy, that's a good question. I would say maybe 21 feet.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you see anyone in the program right now who could really? I'm not talking just long jumpers, but anybody in our program this year, do you think anyone's really pushing towards maybe qualifying for national competition?
Oh, yes. Lauren Holtzman for high jump. We have possibly our 4x4 team or 4x1 team, possibly. But we have a few things that are looking good. So we got to keep maintaining our concentration, our focus, and keep working hard. And we can see anything is possible.
Well, Jay, last question. The indoor track season is sort of messed up in the sense that you train in November, you compete in one meet, then you take about a month off, and you come back again, and you're going to be competing again Saturday at Coast Guard. Isn't that very difficult to maintain consistency with that amount of time off?
Yes, it is. But it goes back to what the things that we built as coaches to relate to our athletes. They know that we care, and they're going to do whatever they can to make it better. And when you have a positive attitude, you keep that mentality. But having that break, it does affect some of us. But as a team, we're all coming together, and when we came back, everybody's looking great, and we could tell if we worked out or not. So
I'm sure
it looks great, though.
Jay, thanks for joining us. Good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you.